Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something specific, hitting that C1 level in English.
Yeah, it's a big goal for a lot of learners.
Definitely. We've looked at quite a bit of material defining what C1 actually involves, the vocabulary, the grammar, how it all works in real life.
Hmm.
And our aim today is, well, to make C1 clearer for you listening, whether you're maybe pushing up from B2 or you're already advanced but want to sharpen things up.
Exactly. It's like understanding the finer mechanics, not just knowing how to communicate, basically, but how to do it with real skill and, well, power.
Okay, so let's get right to it then. C1 proficiency. We hear the term, but what does it really mean? Like day to day, what's the difference we'd notice?
Well, according to the standard framework, the CEFR, C1 means you can handle complex texts, demanding ones, and crucially, you pick up on implied meanings, stuff that's not explicitly said.
Ah, reading between the lines.
Precisely. And you can express yourself fluently, spontaneously. You're not obviously searching for words all the time. And maybe the most important bit, you can use English flexibly. Social situations, academic work, professional settings, it all works.
So it's way beyond just getting by or making yourself understood. It's a much deeper kind of fluency, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's the real shift at C1. You go from just sort of surviving in English conversations to actually thriving. You're not just following along, you're contributing effectively, maybe even leading.
Right, shaping the conversation. Now, this brings me to vocabulary. It seems like at C1, it's less about just cramming more words and more about picking the perfect word for the moment. Why is that specific choice so important here?
It really boils down to precision and impact. At C1, you're aiming for nuance, for conveying subtle shades of meaning, setting a specific tone, moving past the basic synonyms gives you that power. It's like painting with a finer brush, you know?
Okay, I get that. A finer brush. Can you give us some examples? What does this kind of vocabulary upgrade look like?
Sure. So instead of just saying happy, you might choose elated if the joy is intense, or ecstatic for like overwhelming happiness, or even over the moon, which sounds thrilled and maybe a bit surprised.
Okay, different flavors of happy.
Exactly. Or take very big. That could become enormous just for size, colossal if it feels grand or imposing, maybe monumental if it has historical weight or significance. They aren't just synonyms, they carry different baggage, different contexts.
Right, context and weight. Okay, let's try a quick challenge for everyone listening. How would you upgrade, say, she was very tired, C1 style?
Okay. Well, a C1 speaker might go for she was exhausted. That suggests total energy depletion.
Yeah, stronger.
Or maybe she was drained. Kind of implies her vital energy was gone. Both paints a much more vivid picture than just very tired.
Vivid picture, yeah. Okay, one more. It's a very important meeting.
That could easily become it's a crucial meeting.
Right.
That highlights its decisiveness.
Crucial, okay.
Or perhaps it's a pivotal meeting, suggesting it's a turning point.
Pivotal. I like that. It feels like every word choice is really deliberate then. Now, you mentioned collocations earlier in our prep materials. What exactly are they, and why do they matter so much for sounding advanced?
Right, collocations. They're basically words that naturally hang out together in English. Native speakers use them without thinking.
Okay.
And using them makes your English sound much more natural, more fluent. Like we instinctively make a decision, right? We don't usually do a decision.
Right, yeah.
Or we talk about heavy rain, not
Yeah.
typically strong rain. Learning these common pairs helps you avoid sounding awkward. That lifts your language beyond just being grammatically okay.
That makes total sense. It's like the hidden grammar of word pairings. Okay, moving on to grammar itself. Sometimes people think advanced grammar just means making zero mistakes, but the materials suggest it's more nuanced at C1.
That's right. I mean, yes, a high level of accuracy is definitely expected by C1, but the real focus shifts. It shifts towards using more sophisticated structures
Sophisticated how?
to express complex ideas, subtle connections between thoughts, and also just for stylistic effect. The sources we look at really highlighted the subjunctive mood and inversion as key examples of this.
The subjunctive. Okay, sounds a bit technical. Why is that something a C1 speaker needs?
Well, the subjunctive is great for expressing things that are hypothetical. Wishes, doubts, demands, necessities. It does it in a more precise way than basic tenses. You often see it after certain verbs or adjectives in that clauses. So instead of saying, it's essential that he is on time, which is direct,
Yeah.
a C1 user would more likely use the subjunctive, it's essential that he be on time.
Oh, okay. Subtle difference.
It is. Or for wishes, she were here, not I wish she was here. It adds formality or maybe just underlines that it's hypothetical.
Got it. So it carries a specific shade of meaning and inversion. I hope we're not talking about doing handstands while speaking.
Hey, no, not quite.
They do.
Grammatical inversion is when you flip the usual subject-verb order.
Well, I do that.
Often for emphasis. Usually you put an adverbial phrase at the start and then invert. So instead of she had rarely seen such beauty, you could say rarely had she seen such beauty.
Okay, I say it sounds more emphatic.
Exactly. Or not only did they lose the game, but they also missed their flight. It can make things sound more formal, maybe more dramatic, or just add a different rhythm.
Interesting how just switching word order can change the feel. Now, knowing these rules is one thing, but actually using them, hearing them in fast speech, that's different. How do we sharpen our listening and speaking to handle this C1 level stuff?
Yeah, good question. Active immersion is absolutely key. The materials really stress this.
Like what specifically?
Well, consistently listening to good quality English audio. Podcasts are great, maybe something like The Daily for news or TED Talks Daily for, diverse ideas spoken clearly.
Right.
Pay attention not just to the words, but the intonation, the rhythm, the pauses.
Yeah, the musicality of it. Podcasts are definitely good for that. What else?
Films and TV shows, naturally. Yeah. The tip was to try watching first without subtitles. Really push your ears.
Ooh, challenging.
It is. Then maybe watch again with subtitles to catch what you missed, see how spoken language looks written down. It helps connect the sounds and the spellings in context.
That makes sense. Train the ear first, then confirm.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then there's a technique called shadowing.
Shadowing.
Yeah, you basically listen to a native speaker and try to repeat what they're saying, like almost simultaneously. Mimic their pronunciation, their intonation, their speed.
Everything.
Like being their echo.
Kind of. It can really help improve your own natural flow and rhythm when you speak.
That sounds very hands-on. I like that. The materials also had a specific speaking practice idea, didn't they?
They did. It was about practicing expressing a complex opinion, maybe on something a bit controversial.
Okay.
The example question was, what's a controversial issue you have a strong opinion on? The point isn't the controversy itself, but how you answer. Record yourself.
And focus on what? Focus on consciously using linking words. Moreover, conversely, therefore, to connect your ideas smoothly. And also using discourse markers.
Discourse markers, like...
Well, frankly, or to be honest, or on the other hand, they signal shifts, add pauses, make you sound less like you're reading something scripted and more, natural.
Ah, so it's about actively using those advanced tools in a real speaking situation.
Got it.
Okay, this is really useful stuff. So for everyone listening, let's make this practical. We've got a C1 challenge for you this week.
Yes, let's turn talk into action. 3 things for you to try. First, find and learn 5 advanced synonyms for common words.
Okay.
Like instead of always saying everywhere, maybe try using ubiquitous in a sentence this week. Actually use it.
Good one. Ubiquitous. Second test.
Second, deliberately use inversion in at least one sentence you say or write. Just one. For example, you might say, rarely do I eat breakfast, instead of, I rarely eat breakfast.
Nice. Okay, and the third?
And third, we'd love for you to share. Share your synonym sentence, your inversion sentence, or just your thoughts on this deep dive. Find us on Instagram at English Unlocked and drop them in the comments.
Wow, we'd genuinely love to see how you're putting this into practice, because actively trying this stuff out is really how you push your skills forward, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, quick recap. We've unpacked what C1 English really means, looked at that need for precise vocabulary, touched on sophisticated grammar like the subjunctive and inversion, and talked about practical ways to sharpen listening and speaking through immersion and deliberate practice.
And just remember, reaching C1 isn't about suddenly becoming perfect. No one is. It's about being more precise, understanding more subtlety, and just staying curious about the language. Keep learning.
Couldn't agree more. So as you head into your week, maybe think about which part of this C1 discussion really struck a chord with you. What's one thing you can actively try to work into your English practice starting today? That's something to ponder. Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.